Hey everybody, welcome to Comics Now for May 2018. Now May is like the unofficial start to the year for comics.
From the shining domicile that is Pittsburgh Comics, my old mannered comic shop owner Colin McMahon transforms into the world's greatest comic book talking TV host. Join us true believers for Comics Now!
We have Free Comic Book Day, which is Saturday, May 5th, which is always hugely exciting. Marvel normally ties their big summer blockbuster release movie to that day. They moved it up a year, or up a week, to tie in with the international release date. So that got a little bit off this year, but still, Free Comic Book Day. It's the most fun day of the year for me. Giving away thousands of comic books. We're going to have hot dogs on the grill. We normally have Rita's Ice and cookies, and if everything works out, that'll work. Big sales going on, hoping to have big sidewalk sales, all sorts of stuff going on. So it's a really exciting day for comics. Keep an eye on the website and on social media, and I'll let you know exactly what's going on. Also have a nice little video about all the books that are coming out, all sorts of stuff. So keep an eye out for that. But Saturday, May 5th, it's the funnest day in comics. So to tie in with what's going on, the May promo is going to be Avengers. We're going to do double points on all Avengers graphic novels throughout the month of May to tie in with the movie. We'll also be having a book club at the end of the month, but I haven't quite figured out what book we're doing. Kind of talking about maybe a Star Wars Lando to tie in with this Han Solo movie. So we haven't figured that out yet, but we will. There's plenty of time because May is a 5 Wednesday month, so we have a little extra time this year, or this month. So, what's going on in comics? Tons of stuff. Like I said, Free Comic Book Day is always kind of the kickoff to the big summer and everything exciting going on with comics. So we have lots of stuff coming out. We're going to start off with Marvel. To tie in with the new Avengers movie, we have a new Avengers #1. Jason Aaron is writing it, and Ed McGuinness is drawing it. Ed McGuinness, real classic, longtime artist for both Marvel and DC. And it's getting the original team back together. We're getting back Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. The classic versions of these characters are going to be on the team. Plus adding some new fan favorites. We're getting Black Panther, we're getting Captain Marvel, She-Hulk, Doctor Strange, and a new twist, Ghost Rider, so that we can get some more of the story that we got back in September with Marvel Legacy telling about the 1 million BC Avengers. We'll get some more stories with them. So this is the big release Marvel has going on. Lots of fun, lots of excitement. A new Avengers #1 is always a good time. We also have a new Black Panther #1. And spinning out of that Marvel Legacy book again, we're getting Black Panther in space, and it turns out that they are have an intergalactic empire. It's just not on Earth. So we'll have to see where that's going. We also have a new Venom #1. Donny Cates, who is the hot writer right now at Marvel, is taking over Venom because we're also getting a new Venom movie. So he's starting new #1 with Ryan Stegman is going to be drawing that one. Then more stuff. Infinity Countdown. This is still continuing into May, and we're also getting a bunch of spin-offs. We're getting a Captain Marvel one-shot, a Daredevil one-shot, and then a Darkhawk 4-issue mini spinning out of the events of Infinity Countdown. Hunt for Wolverine is also coming. We're getting Wolverine back. We just had the Hunt for Wolverine one-shot where they found out he's missing. He's not dead and buried where they thought he was. He's gone. So now they have to hunt for him. They have to find him and see what's going on. In order to do that, we're getting 4 miniseries throughout the month of May and the summer to leading up to his return. So there's 4 of them coming. We have Weapon Lost, and this is starring Daredevil and Misty Knight hunting for him. Adamantium Agenda, this is by Tom Taylor. And this has Iron Man, Spider-Man, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage, kind of the new Avengers from way back when team trying to track down Wolverine. We have Claws of the Killer. This is kind of his rogues gallery looking for him, which is Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, and his son Daken. And then we have Mystery in Madripoor. This is by Jim Zub. This features the ladies are looking for him. This is Storm, Rogue, Psylocke, Domino, and Jubilee. So lots going on. Wolverine is coming, and this is kind of all the tease and the setup to getting more Wolverine for everybody. Lots of milestone issues, lots of series ending issues are coming out as well. We have Amazing Spider-Man 800, which is just about the end. I think it's going to 801, but it's just about the end of Dan Slott's huge run. I think he's written more Spider-Man books than anyone in the history of comic writing. So his big run is coming to an end. It's a big Red Goblin storyline that'll be wrapping up in issue 800. It's going to be a huge 100-pager, lots of stories, lots of stuff going on in that. Also have Invincible Iron Man 600 with the return of Tony Stark. He's been missing since the end of Secret Empire, and this is also Brian Michael Bendis' last Marvel issue. So he's gone over to DC to work on the Superman books, and this is kind of his farewell to not just the character of Iron Man, but also to Marvel Comics. So this is a big extra-sized issue as well. We also have Despicable Deadpool is ending at 300. This is Jerry Dugan's run that he's been doing for a number of years now. This is his last issue, and it's going 300. That's also getting a new #1. But in addition to this, we also have another Deadpool book coming out this month. It's going to be a weekly book called You Are Deadpool, and it's like the old classic, you make up the story, you decide how it goes along. So you pick at the end of the page where you go. So you get to be Deadpool, all in time for the new Deadpool movie too. Some other stuff going on at Marvel. Captain America 701, it just had its big anniversary 700 issue, and this is kind of leading into, we're getting a new #1 in July, and this is kind of wrapping up Mark Waid's run. So 701 is called, its story arc called Promised Land, where it's set in the future. Captain America's in the future, seeing that his teachings and things, his lifestyle is continuing being told in the future, how he lived, just how he was. But something sinister has crept in over the years, and he has to confront that. This is a golden oldie. S.H.I.E.L.D. is finally wrapping up. This was a series by Jonathan Hickman back in 2010. We got the first 4 issues, and then the last 2 issues never came out. Well, they're coming. They're finally finished, and they're going to be wrapping up this series, which is really fascinating about the history of S.H.I.E.L.D., going all the way back to Da Vinci and Tesla and all these people who were really founding fathers of S.H.I.E.L.D. as we know it now. So they're finally wrapping this story up. Spinning out of Avengers No Surrender that just wrapped up at the end of April, we have Quicksilver No Surrender, telling his kind of continuing story. Something happened to him at the end of it, and this is continuing his particular story in this and what happened to him. Mighty Thor has a one-shot. Jane Foster just passed away. She succumbed to her cancer, and this is a little retrospective and a little celebration of her. It's Thor at the Gates of Valhalla. X-Men, don't want to get left out. We have a wedding special. Colossus and Kitty Pryde are getting married, and they're doing a wedding special, and one of the neat things with this is that Chris Claremont is writing part of it. So, fantastic old X-Men scribe from the 70s, 80s, and 90s is back on the characters that he really had a big part of creating and developing. Don't want to miss out on Star Wars. We have a new Lando book, Lando Double or Nothing miniseries that's continuing on some of the story from the Han Solo movie that's coming. And then we also have the Last Jedi adaptation. So if you like the movie and you want, a lot of times the adaptations give you a little more flavor than you just got in the movie. So the adaptation is coming out with that. So that's Marvel. That's all the excitement that Marvel has coming out. And what's going on with DC? Well, they're not backing down. They're also coming out with tons of stuff in May that's leading into an amazing summer. First, kicking it off is DC Nation Zero, and this is basically a Free Comic Book Day book that's coming out the Wednesday before Free Comic Book Day. But in it, it has 3 huge stories. We're getting a Batman story by Tom King and Clayman that is kicking off the wedding prelude. We're getting a Justice League No Justice prelude by Scott Snyder and James Tynion and Josh Williamson that is kicking off the new big Justice League No Justice 4-issue mini that's coming out throughout May and then leading into the new Justice League books that are coming out over the summer. And then we have Man of Steel preview, which is Brian Michael Bendis' start on Superman, drawn by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. Just a classic DC artist. So 3 big previews of their 3 big books that are going to be going on this summer. So that's exciting. We also have an Action Comics special. This is coming out. This is kind of wrapping up Action Comics, the run before Bendis takes over. And this one is a Luthor story. So if you're a Lex Luthor fan, it's him coming to grips with, he was a hero, he was a protector of Metropolis for a while, and now we're going to see where he is going forward in Bendis's run. We're also getting a Superman special, which is Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. They just wrapped up their Superman run, and this is kind of their little goodbye to Superman. It also has a backup. I enjoyed this. Both books have backups by Mark Russell. Mark Russell did Prez, and he did Flintstones, and he's doing Snagglepuss right now. So it's just going to be interesting seeing him doing little backups in these. Should be fun. Justice League No Justice. That's a 4-issue mini coming out in May. This is big. This is Scott Snyder getting to play with the Justice League and all the characters and all the teams. And what has happened is something so dire has occurred that I believe Brainiac, through the events at the end of Metal, Brainiac has come to Earth to gather the heroes because there's something so dire that he needs their help to protect the universe. So there's going to be 4 new teams. Mystery, Wonder, Wisdom, and Entropy, with really interesting groupings of characters on these teams. It's not your standard heroes, and actually villains are on some of these teams because it's such a big threat that everybody has to get together. So this is going to be a weekly in May that should be a lot of fun. Harley Quinn, can't forget about Harley. She's got a 2-issue Harley Loves Joker little event going on. The neat thing is that this is written by Paul Dini, who created Harley Quinn for the Batman animated series. So he's returning to the character that he created, so this should be a lot of fun. Continuing on in the Age of Heroes line, we have New Challengers #1. This is by Scott Snyder and Aaron Gillespie, with Andy Kubert and Klaus Janson on art. And basically, in the events of Metal, Challengers Mountain appeared in Gotham. And so a new Challengers team has been created to figure out what's going on and to take on their suicide missions that they're known for doing. Batman White Knight concludes. This has been an absolutely fantastic story. I can't wait to get the collected editions because this is going to be one of those go-to, what do you have that's a good Batman story? This has been really good. Really hoping they stick the landing because the first 7 issues have been fantastic. Flash War Begins. This is a big event going on just in Flash, but that's starting. We're getting the prelude and the first issue coming out in May. So this is promising to be real big. Super Sons is ending. One of my favorite characters are ending their book to lead into whatever's going on in the future, letting Bendis play with the characters he wants to, so this series is ending. That's what's going on with DC. Lots of big stuff. Dark Horse has some fun stuff coming. Ether is a Matt Kindt book about this kind of homeless guy who travels to this other land where he's a big superstar. And he's in charge now of protecting both worlds. So this is continuing his Ether story. Blackwood is by Evan Dorkin and Veronica Fish. Evan Dorkin did, he did Milk and Cheese, but he's also done more recently Beasts of Burden, and Veronica Fish has done a lot of the Archie books. And this is basically a supernatural fantasy about a magical murder in a sorcery school. So if you like Harry Potter and mystery and stuff like that, this might be the book for you. Garth Ennis is continuing his World War II stories with World of Tanks Citadel. He has a real passion for telling World War II stories, so he's continuing on this one. Rome West. This is a graphic novel by Brian Wood, basically about a Roman fleet that gets lost and ends up in the New World, and what happens when they settle America instead of the Spanish. Brooklyn Blood is a book by Paul Levitz, who was the editor-in-chief and the publisher over at DC for years, for decades. And he's now doing an original graphic novel at Dark Horse, and this is about a soldier who was also a police detective, comes back from Afghanistan, but after what he's seen and PTSD and all sorts of stuff, he's seeing hallucinations. And can he catch the killer even if some of the stuff that he's seeing isn't real? So can he get through the delusions and stuff to catch the killer? So this should be a good one. Also Witchfinder, who's a mystical mystery series set in London. This is part of Magnolaverse, the Hellboy world. This is his character, and he's got another mini-series coming. IDW has a couple coming out. We have a Star Trek Next Generation Through the Mirror. They really like to play with the mirror universe where everybody's evil. And now the next evil Next Generation ship has come through to the prime Star Trek world looking for worlds to conquer. And now the regular Star Trek people have to fight their evil doppelgangers. Judge Dredd Under Siege. Normally I wouldn't talk about Judge Dredd, but Mark Russell is also writing this, again, from Flintstones. So that should be an interesting spin on the classic Judge Dredd characters. And then Delta 13, this is a Steve Niles who does a lot of horror stuff, and this is about a spaceship where this mysterious asteroid shows up and what happens to the people on the ship. Nice little horror in space kind of story. Now, Image has a bunch of stuff coming as well. They're doing a Free Comic Book Day book called Barrier. And this is by Brian K. Vaughan and Marcos Martin. Brian K. Vaughan does, he did Y the Last Man, he did Ex Machina, and right now he's doing Saga. And this is his next big thing. It's only a 5-issue miniseries, but it's all about barriers. It's about illegal immigration, how people are combating that, but also there's with a sci-fi twist to it. So this is coming out. It's going to be weekly in May. You can get the first issue for free on Free Comic Book Day and see if you like that. Death or Glory. This is by Rick Remender and Bengal. And it's about this girl named Glory, and she has 3 days to complete these 4 missions to get enough money to help her dad get an operation. But her ex-husband and mobs and corrupt cops are all trying to stop her from completing this. So it's going to be a little cross-country kind of car race, heist kind of book. Flavor, this is by Joe Keating, who recently did Ringside. And it's about within a strange world city, an unlicensed chef discovers a mystery that threatens to end it all. It looks very kid-friendly, kind of an all-ages book, but it looks fun. I really like the art. I saw some preview pages. Just fun. Nice book. Medieval Spawn is back. Speaking of fun, who doesn't love Spawn? And he's coming back in a crossover with Witchblade. And this is by Brian Haberlin, who did the Medieval Spawn back in the day. So he's back on Spawn. Son of Hitler. This is an original hardcover that they're doing. Jeff McClellan, who does The Tick, he did the lettering on this. So there's a little personal connection there, as he's a customer. But it's basically what if Hitler had a son that no one knew about, and he was actually part of the reason for the downfall of the Third Reich. And it's that untold story. And then Street Angel goes to Juvie, hardcover. There's been a bunch of Street Angel books, and they're done by Jim Rugg, who's a local Pittsburgh guy. And it releases on May 2nd, and he's going to be here doing a signing from 4 to 7 for Street Angel for his new hardcover. He also has a Free Comic Book Day book that he'll sign for you, and he's got a new dollar book, which is just a little, like a first issue that for Street Angel that he'll also be signing. So come on down and meet him. But this is about her book. She goes to Juvie, where she meets a girl gang, becomes a superhero sidekick, pushes the lunch lady to the limit, and watches Harriet the Spy. So just fun about it, like a street girl who gets into all sorts of fun stuff. Now here's what's coming from some of the other guys, some of the smaller publishers. Lots of stuff this month, like I said, because it's May. Everything in the world likes to come out in May. Action Lab has a new one called Ruin of Thieves. I like this one because it's Ram V, who's doing Paradiso right now, and I think he's a real up-and-coming writer. I think he's a guy people should keep an eye on. And he has a new one from Action Lab, basically about this comet comes across the land, and it just creates upheaval in this like ancient civilization, and people are trying to grab its power. There's a political struggle, all sorts of stuff. Looks interesting. Aftershock has a new Garth Ennis one called A Walk Through Hell about 2 FBI agents. Basically the setup was 2 FBI agents walk into a warehouse, and what they see in there is going to change their lives forever. So that's a little police procedural with some gore and fun Garth Ennis type stuff. Pestilence, A Story of Satan. Pestilence is like an ancient, what if the Black Plague was actually the first zombie outbreak? And this one's getting into what happens if the church had involvement in that original Black Plague. Black Mask has a couple. There's one called Dismantlers, where this one is about on this other planet, instead of just building new homes or new buildings, they do terraforming. And these dismantlers are the people in charge of doing this. And it's not just a story of that, but it's also a story about their personal lives and what goes on behind the scenes and after hours and things like that. And there's one called We Are the Danger, about a girl who's new to a school, and she makes a friend, and they go off to try to make a band and get a recording contract. But of course, there's people the enemies don't want them to do that. So it looks like a fun kids, coming of age type of book. Boom has some neat stuff. They have one called Coda, which is by Cy Spurrier, and basically a broken fantasy world that's perfect for fans of Mad Max and Lord of the Rings. So all sorts of stuff going on with that. But it's nice. This has one of those big, giant, oversized first issues. Cy Spurrier did a book called Spire. He also did Six Gun Gorilla. So real interesting, twisted kind of writer. There's also Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is continuing its Shattered Grid storyline, as well as they have a new Fraggle Rock book. So I know there's lots of Fraggle Rock fans. So we have some more of that coming from Boom, which is good. Dynamite is getting into a lot of their more licensed stuff. We have a Red Sonja Tarzan book coming out, written by Gail Simone, who did a nice little run on Red Sonja recently. Also, there's a new Sherlock Holmes The Vanishing Man series coming, and that's from Leah Moore, who is Alan Moore's daughter. So she's done Sherlock Holmes before, and she's doing a new one. Scout Comics is one of these new little guys who's doing interesting things. Their big one right now is Stabbity Bunny, about this little stuffed rabbit that I haven't had a chance to read because I keep selling out, but people who are reading it are really enjoying it. This one's Jazz Legend, where there's this new drug on the streets that causes crazy things to happen to people. And it's a neo-noir meets cosmic fantasy inspired by the music of Miles Davis and the writings of William S. Burroughs. So this looks to be kind of out there and different. Titan has a couple game-related books. There's a new Dark Souls book coming out, as well as a Warhammer 40K book coming out. So if you're fans of those, there's more coming. And then there's one called 2021 Lost Children. And in this one, Detroit, the leadership in Detroit has seceded Detroit from the Union, and it's being controlled by this crazy, superpowered man, and the only people that can stop him are these 4 superpowered children. But by using their powers, they age. So how much will they be sacrificing to save their town? Valiant is bringing in Harbinger Wars 2. This is where the government has tasked Hardcore, which is like their S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of thing, to take care of and handle all of the superpowered people that are a threat to the government. So it's involving all the Valiant characters are going to be fighting this big battle. And then there's another one, it's Valiant High, which was an online thing that they're now putting into print, but it's basically just a little tongue-in-cheek, what if all the Valiant characters went to high school together? So you're getting to see the different characters in high school persona. This is by Daniel Kibblesmith, who's also doing Quantum and Woody, and I have a feeling he's going to start being one of those big names as well. So that's all I got for this month. Lots of books, lots of big books coming from both Marvel and DC, and lots of neat stuff coming from a lot of the little guys. As always, Free Comic Book Day. Please come on down. It's a fun day. I have tons of books to give away. We'll be doing big sales. We're making it fun. Like I said, hot dogs on the grill. We'll have Rita's Ice, cookies, all sorts of stuff going on. That's Saturday, May 5th. So please, if you're in the area, bring a friend. It's a lot of fun here at the store. And again, all month long we're doing Avengers, double points on all Avengers graphic novel, and keep your eye out for what the book club book is because we haven't figured it out yet. So, as always, you can find me at the store. The website's pittsburghcomics.com. You can find me on Facebook under Pittsburgh Comics, Twitter and Instagram under PGH Comics. And as always, thanks for watching, and please stay tuned for Comic Previews Theater. See you next month.
Here you go, boys. Beer, mead, and a Shirley Temple. Can I get you fellas anything else?
Think that'll do for a start. Thanks.
A toast, brothers, to seizing the day by its Odin damn throat.
To the future. One without me in a coma.
To the good old days. To the Avengers.
One drink. Steve couldn't even get through one drink without saying the A word.
I am through with my drink. Bartender, another!
I don't know, Tony. Feels to me like it's been a million years since I've said it. More than that, felt it.
Well, I suppose I'm just happy to be feeling anything at all. You know what's the opposite of me being my usual amazing self and doing all sorts of amazing me stuff? Being brain dead.
We get it. You were in a coma. For what, a few weeks? I was trapped in ice for the first 40 Super Bowls. And lately, it's a matter of opinion as to whether or not I should still be in there.
I once broke into my father's private cask house and drank myself into a stupor. That lasted 9 moon turns. I've thought about doing that again. Every time I reach for a Mjolnir, that is no longer there. And that I probably could not lift even if it were.
We make quite the trio. Hydra Cap, Coma Tony, and the unworthy Thor. Clearly it's been a bumpy ride for all 3 of us lately. But we're here now, aren't we? Good as new-ish. I've got a working brain and new armor. Thor's got new hammers. Cap is... the same old Cap again. What more do we need?
You know what we need. We need to put it all back together.
Steve, I'm not sure we're the ones to do that anymore. Times have changed.
So have we, Tony.
Then we should recognize when it's time to step aside.
We did that. Now it's time to step up again. In the way only we can.
We're not as special as we used to be. Really? Did I just say that? I could give you 20 names off the top of my head, Steve. People who could take what we've built and make something completely new and exciting from it.
Sometimes what's old is new again. Story of my life. We'll have to do this, Tony. Sooner or later. We always have to. We need to be ready.
We've tried before to be ready for everything. That got unwieldy and god-awful expensive.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking lean. With us at the core. Like it was in the beginning.
In the beginning, it just happened. It wasn't us. It was actually more Loki than us. And who says it has to be the 3 of us anymore at the...
Thor, God of Thunder, says, "As the stars are my witness, it must be us. We need this now more than ever. We 3 need one another. We cannot run from that. My brothers, we must embrace it."
Okay, so... wow. Suddenly being clinically dead has a nice soothing ring to it. So tell me something, Captain and Tennille. Since you 2 seem to have this all figured out, exactly who the hell am I supposed to be embracing this time around?